Hello friends, family and everyone, welcome back to Netcode-Hub channel. Today we are going to talk about creating or designing a simple web-based application. Now this application, it is known as a pizza bay. So check on the screen. Now you can see we have types of pizza here. So these types have been displayed on the screen, so user can just go in there and order. So it is a simple application whereby a user or a client can order a pizza from where they prepare it and it got delivered. So it is very simple application, but it's actually a little complex here. So we're going to take a look on how to create this from scratch up to finish. Now this lesson here is an introduction. So we're going to walk through the whole application for you to know what you're about to design. Okay, and trust me, you'll love it. So let's see. Now in this video, I'm going to make it into lessons. So this introduction is going to be lesson 1. It's a continuous. Okay, so after this lesson 1, I'm going to add lesson 2, lesson 3, until we finish all the lessons in this project. It is actually going to be a one video with many lessons. So when you decide to watch it, you can watch it from the start to finish and you get everything. You can also check the description as well. I'll leave the timestamp over there. So if you want to have a particular section watched, you can just click on that timestamp and it will just move you up to where you want it to be. But I suggest that you watch everything from start to finish, so that you may build a more functional application as a web-based than what I'm doing here. This is .NET, as you know, .NET, and here I am using .NET 8.0. okay, you know, .NET with the NT framework. Okay, so here SDK version of 8.0, preview version, so preview 3, that is what I'm using. But if you're using the .NET 7, you can still be able to do it. And also this is the server project, so we've moved from WASM, that is a Blazor WebAssembly project. Now this project is in server. Now if you know one good thing about server, you talk about a server, why do you have to create application using the server project or the server hosting model? And with the Blazor WebAssembly hosting model too, we're going to talk about that. Okay, but for now let's go through the project here and see. So this is a screen, as you see, when the user and the client logs or access the content of our web app. Now you see we have a lot, almost 8 types of pizza that we can sell, we can prepare and deliver. Now as you can see, the names have been issued down there with the pizza image as well. This is a little CSS, and here we are setting the opacity to maybe 0.5 when you hover the mouse on the particular image. That's a very simple thing. Now that is it. If you check about top here, you can see I have there's a graph icon, but it looks like a pizza, right? I don't have time to design a whole pizza icon in this page here, so I'm using a graph which looks similar to pizza slice 1. Okay, now we have an orders, so a client now have 0 orders. This is an administration, so this button here is going to be hidden if I decide to add a sign up and a login. Currently there's no authentication, that is why you see administration at the client level. If you have authentication, this administration button is going to be hidden because it is only for the administrators, the managers. So we have orders and we have the buttons over here, sign up and login. Now these features that we are going to see here, or we are seeing here, I use SyncFusion component. Some of SyncFusion component, that's what I used to build, but you can decide to use any other component as well. Blazor, you can have a lot. Okay, a lot. All that, you know, you can use them also, and you can also use the HTML to do it, or the Blazor input. So let's see. Now as soon as I click on this icon, it gets me to the home, and that's what I can see over here. Now if I click on orders, so currently you see there's no pizza ordered, so order now. Now if I click on administration, that is where you can add pieces and images. So as you can see from here, you have add, edit, delete, and you can print it, you can export it as an Excel, PDF, and CSV as well. Okay, we have the image here, and we have this. Now with these columns that we have, you can now sort these columns. So you can sort them. It's using an Excel-like format, so you can sort this. Also, you can have a search over here. Let's say I want this n, so I'm passing it n and get it because I have n over here. Okay, so I can see. Let's try to copy this. Let's cancel this. Now let's pass it here and see. So because I have only n here, right? Aside from that, I have the media or the other columns, and this is a description. Okay, so and you have pagination too. So the number of pages that I have added, I can see them over here. Now each page, or the page size for each, is what? 3. So this is 3 here, that is 3 right here, so making 6, and you have 2 making 8. And you can see you have 3 out of 3 pages, and there are 8 items. I can also add pizza here. Now if I decide to add this pizza here, I could say the image here, it is inaccessible. ID is inaccessible, but I can add name. I can add this small price, medium, large price, extra large, description. I can add them here. Okay, but one thing here is if I want to add image, then I have to click on this add. So to add image, so here you can now add a name, description. These are the prices. You can click on this to choose image, then add pizza, cancel it or reset. So cancel it, it is gone. Now this is the modal dialog that we are using to display. Okay, so that is the administration side. Now when you go to the other side, so order now. So we are back to the home here. Now if I click on this pizza type, we say I have choose size. Each size has its own amount. So medium, small, medium, large, and extra large. Now I can read information about this pizza type with the toppings. So as you can see from here, traditional toppings, what we put together to form that pizza, and that is what you can read over here as well. Now if I click on medium, the price is 150 Ghana cedis. So I can click on add to cart now, or add to ordered list. Now there's an order, so currently here it is 0, and we are using local storage. So if I click on add to order list, see what happens here with the 0. We're going to change to 1 because here you can see order created successfully, and I have 1 over there. So if I decide to add it again, you can see order added already. But if I decide to change the size here, it tells you what order updated or successfully. I can now close this. I can open the next one, and here I can go for the small size, and I can add it. Now you can see here going to be 2. So add. Okay, you can see we have 2 over here. Let's add one more. Now I want medium, so add. Let's add last one. So this, then add. So I have 4 now. Okay, that's 3. Let's see this. So updated. So there is 3. This has been done, selected already. Now let's use this. Okay, so I have 4 now. Now if I click on orders, so my orders, you can see we have the orders here. We can change it. This is the image, we have the ID, we have the name, size, large, small, small. This is the price, and we see number of orderings. We have 4, so 4 pieces, and this is the total amount that you have to pay. Now if I want to change this from small to large, just click on this, and it's going to open this here, so I can change that medium. Now update successfully. Now let's go back and see. So orders, now we see it has changed to medium. If you want to change this to extra large, just click on this. Then can I go for extra large, add. So now close this, orders. Now you can see we have large, as you can see from here. Yes, okay. So that is what the simple thing that you want to do. Now if you want to clear this also as well, let's see, I can click on this, then delete. I actually want to delete. Okay, so you can see it is off now, deleted. So I can delete this as well, no selected. So let's select this, Now let's delete. Yeah, now you have 2, so let's delete the other one, and you can see it is gone now. Now if I refresh this, they are gone for good. So we have only 1 item left, and that's what you can see over here. Others is what? 1. Okay, so that is a simple thing about this application. Now you can see it's very simple. Almost you need about 2 or 4 components, eraser components, and 2 dialog boxes to help us finish this. Alright, so in the next lesson, we're going to talk about how to start creating a server project, and talk about the difference between the clients, that's a WebAssembly project, and creating a server project. Okay, and let's say there's a slight note from .NET, that's a 8.0 SDK 8.0, and there's also a note under the Visual Studio 2022 preview version of the 3. We're going to talk about that too in the next video, so you know. But if you're having the Visual Studio 2022 with a .NET 7.0, you can still use it to build the same application as I have done here. But I'm using the latest one, so there are some slight changes that are going to implement in ours, those using the 8.0. Okay, but if you're using the 7.02, I'll show you what to do when we get there. So thank you. Let's break it up, and for now, and let's return for just a minute. Hello friends, welcome back to lesson 2. Now in this video we are going to talk about creating a new project, that is Blazor server project. I tried to save a page concerning the update of the Blazor, that is a Visual Studio 2022 preview version, and also SDK of .8.0, and I linked it around here. Yeah, so it's a save file. Okay, so it's a save web page. Now here, as you can see from this, it was updated or released on April 11th, that 2023, and there is a .8.3 preview is now available, so you can download it from this link, and when you try to access it on the internet, you're going to have this link as well. Now these are the new things that have been released, including this Visual Studio 2022 preview version. Okay, and that is the ASP.NET Core .NET 8.0 preview. So you can see we have these are the update, new features. Now it supports AOT. AOT means ahead of time. Now this for processing, the speed determines how the applications that you're going to create, I'm going to process, talking about the application, the Visual Studio speed to process the application. Now you have server side rendering with Blazor, and a lot of things here. Okay, so we can actually grab this blog, then you can just read through the new features in this. But what I want to talk about here, it is this, the supporting of the native AOT. Now if we check here, you could say we have it. So benefit of using native AOT with ASP.NET Core. Now it reduces disk footprint, reduces what startup time and memory demand. Let's see. Now when you use the AOT, so that's the new version as they have been released, default you're going to use a startup time of 169 milliseconds. So when starting the application or the Visual Studio, it takes you 169 milliseconds. But with this new one, you can see you can have actually about what, 34 milliseconds. So it has tracked it more than 3 times, right? So the third. So you can see running of a native AOT is quite easier than this based on the startup time. Now check the app size, 88.5 megabyte, and this 11.3 megabyte. So you know when using the Visual Studio 2022 preview version and the SDK of .NET 8.0, you're going to have these features. So loading of application and starting up the application is going to be faster as compared to using the old, that is 7.0 and below. That is why I just grabbed the preview version. So you can also grab it as well. Go to the Microsoft site and you're going to see it over there with the SDK 8.0. This just by the way. Okay, we're not going to read all this. You can just grab this for yourself and read later on to know the update, the current features that we have in 8.0 and the Visual Studio 2022 preview version. Okay, so we are not going to talk much about it now. When you check here, you can see we have the applications here, the Visual Studio 2022 and the This is the old one. Okay, so if you want to read the whole script, the whole blog here, you can check it online and read it for yourself. Okay, so let's see. Now in here, this is 2022 preview. So let's launch this Visual Studio, and let's wait for this to launch. Okay, so now when it's launched, this is what you can see. Now you have new project and open the new one and open a folder and etc. But here we want to create a new project. So what is new in 17.6? So this is 17.6. Now you can also read a lot about this under the preview here. What you can read here, you can check it online and also download the application. That is this Visual Studio, and you can read more about here. But let's see. So I'm going to click on new project. So we're going to create new project here, and now with this new project we wait for the template to get load. Now when we are done, I said in the earlier that we're going to create a Blazor server application. The reason why we want to create a Blazor server is, you know, this is a small application and we don't want a user to access it offline. If you want to have access offline, then we can use Blazor WebAssembly. That is, application is going to exist even when there's no internet. Okay, but this must be on online, so you want it to access it online. That's why we're using the Blazor server. Also, when using a Blazor server, the source code here does not go to the client machine. All the UI, the user interface processing happens inside the server and send the request or the response to the client, and that's exactly what we want the application to do. That's why we are using the Blazor server. So let's search for Blazor over here, and I'm going to use all projects, or I can have Blazor here. Then you can see from this side that you have Blazor server app, you have Blazor WebAssembly app, you have empty projects, but you want this template one, so click on server app, and now next. So let's give it a name. This is Pizza Bay. I'm going to make it as for YouTube because I have one already there. I don't want to miss them. So Pizza Bay for YouTube. Now this is the location, so click on next, and now this is the framework. So you can see we have from 3.1 up to 8.0, and since I have downloaded the SDK 8.0, I can see it's that pop up here, and I've selected that. That's the preview version. Now click on create. So we wait for the app to be created. Alright, so now it is created now. As you can see from here, we have a server ready. That's the server project. Now when you check here, when I click on Solution Explorer, I can see we have there's a Pizza Bay for YouTube, and there's a solution here. Okay, now this is just a client one, so we have to add API and also our class library. So let's go to the solution and add an API and a class library, or in the same version .NET 8.0. So right click on solution. Now let's click on add new project, and now here we are going in for ASP.NET Core Web API, so you can search it over here and now get Web API. So where can we have this Web API? And that is this one. So this is C# and this is F#, so use the C# here, and that is it. So I'm going to click on next. So what's going to be the name? So Pizza Bay. I can make this as Pizza Bay for YouTube, and I can just write in here as this is a server. So that is a server. Click on next to get it created. You can see 8.0 selected. Click on create. So we also wait for this to get created. Now when we are done, we are going to also add class library. Let's also add class library and make it as logic. So solution explorer, so click on solution. Now click on add new project, and now we need a class library, so you can just click on choose this as a class. So library. Now you see we have class library over here, and that's what you want to use. So you can see this C#, so we choose this, and that is over here. So class library, and the name here is Pizza Bay for YouTube, then library, or I can make it as logic. Okay, so Pizza Bay for YouTube logic. Alright, so this is a very simple thing that I'm doing here. So for YouTube, let me make it like this, because that's what I have for each. Okay, so this is Pizza Bay for tube logic, this is for YouTube logic for YouTube. Okay, so for YouTube, let's name it, and there's a logic. So I'll click on next. The version is 8.0, so create. So take note that you can't create a version of 7.0 and now add a version of 7.0. No, it is 7. If you're using 7.0, use 7.0. You can't fuse them together. Maybe the class library is in a version of 8.0, whereas the web API is in a version of 8.0. No. Okay, you can't do that. So if it is 8.0, you must use 8.0. If it is 7.0, then you go in for 7.0. So solution explorer. So we see we have all the 3 projects added here. We have our logic, we have our server, we have this, the page, which is going to render to the client or the user. Okay, so maybe you can decide to clear this class off. You don't need this. Yeah. Now let's set a startup project and see. So here we want to set the server and the logic both as a startup project. So right click on solution, now go to configure startup project. Now click on multiple startup project, because you have the project over here. So you want to start the server first. So I want to start with that debugging, and I want to start this, the next one. So the logic, we are not going to start the logic because it's going to be used by both of these. Okay, so click on apply and okay. So now we run application. Now we're going to have this. So now let's run the application and see what we're going to have now as a default or a template one. So we run it. You can click on this button to run the application. So let's wait while it is running. It's building application, and if you check here, you can see that we have a message, and this is the type of the SDK that we have, that is 8.0. Now you see you are using a preview version of this. Okay, so if you want to know much about this, you can now go to this aka.ms, that's Microsoft.net-support-policy. You can go to this place and I read a lot about this, but we know what you want, so we don't have time to go there to read. Now what you are waiting here, it is we wait for the app to run peacefully so we can display what we want. So let's wait. So using .NET 8.0 and the Visual Studio 2022 preview version, running the application is quite easier than faster than the previous one, that's 2017. Okay, now you see this is the first time of run the application, but if you check the running time as compared to the other one, especially when you have a machine which has loaded work as mine, it's very slow at times because of the thing that I have on. So it is actually sometimes it's slow. But with the help of this 2022 preview version, you can see that it has run successfully, and the time it took here is just 52 seconds. Yeah, that's fine. So now let's see. Yeah, so there's one here. Now this is the old project, and that is the Swagger that we have here, but this is the new one, the current one that we have, and that's it. Pizza Bay for YouTube server. Okay, so if I click here, there's a server that I hold now. Now one good thing also about this .NET 8.0 here is there's no Swagger anymore. Let's see, this is Swagger, right? Now let's check the 8.0. So the 8.0 here, we are using swagger.json. Let's see with this. Okay, so this is supported by Smart Bear, right? So as you can see from here, so Swagger supported by Smart Bear. So this is an update, and this update is quite also, it has a nice interface as the same as the previous one. But maybe once we move on, we may have some few features in it that cannot be found in the old one. So it is supported by Smart Bear, and I'm not sure with the 7.0 we have Smart Bear supported. Okay, so this is by this. So yeah, and you can also select the definition as indicated here. So in case I have two server, I can also have it over here. So now when you go to the application, you can see we have home, counter, and fetch data, and we have about here. So application has now run successfully, and that is what you can see. So it is navigating to the documentation. Okay, so what is new? You can read what is new from this site. You can download the .NET. Yeah, so you can have all this read. Okay, so let's go back. Now this is the application now we have now. So you can see currently it is empty. There's nothing here. By the end of the day, we're going to build it as you see this. It's going to look similar to this, or even exactly to this. So this video, this lesson is about creating the application and explaining the features, and also stating the difference between the Blazor server app and the Blazor WebAssembly. I think we have achieved the goal now. So what we want to do here is we want to just give a break. Then when we return here, going to be lesson 3. We're going to start developing our application, and that is the Pizza Bay application. So thank you guys for watching, and I'm going to catch you up the next lesson. Hello guys, welcome back to lesson 3. In this lesson, we are going to create our Blazor project models, and also we're going to install the NuGet packages that we'll be using in this project. So let's start. Now let's click on Solution Explorer here. First of all, we want to install local storage to the client section. So that is the server here. So YouTube, Pizza Bay for YouTube. So this, you want to go to dependencies, and now let's click on manage NuGet packages. So let's install local storage. Let's install Syncfusion component as well. So let's click on browse. Now let's click on include release versions. So you want to install Blazor.localstorage. So let's install this first. So by Crescenti, let's install that. Aside from this, we are going to install Syncfusion. So once you're done with this, we're going to be using dialog box. So let's install Syncfusion. So Syncfusion dot Blazor. So dot drop down. Let's install drop down first. So this drop downs. Let's install drop downs. After that, you're going to install themes, then buttons, notifications, and pop-ups. So let's install those. So let's install this. Aside from drop down, let's install themes. Install this. Now you can see Syncfusion have nice UI components, That's what I use. Example is the data grid that you saw in the previous video. That is the lesson 1 when we're doing the introduction. So once you are done with this, let's also install pop-ups. So we install this, and this pop-up is about, let's see, now this is done. It's about dialog box and etc. over here. So let's install data grid or grid. So that is great. So click on OK. Now let's install buttons. So sync fusion buttons. Yeah, so I think that is all that we need to install in this package. Now let's go to Solution Explorer and let's go to the server project and dependencies. Right click on that. Let's click on Manage NuGet Packages. And a server, we need to install Entity Framework. So we have to install Entity Framework. So let's see, let's click on the Browse tab. So Microsoft.Entity Framework, let's install this. And in this video, we are project we're going to install, we're going to use SQL Server. So let's accept this. Let's install tools. So we install this tool here. When we are done, we have to install SQL Server. Accept. So let's wait while it gets installed. Then, so there's the SQL, there's tools, then we install SQL Server to it. Then we are done. So these two allow us, as you can see from here, to add migration, drop database, get DB context, and other aspects. So let's install SQL Server. So we install SQL Server 2. Accept it. Alright, so that is it. As you can see from this, is a pre-release version. They all have the pre-release version of 8.0, as you can see from here. Now when we go to Solution Explorer, dependencies for the server, click on packages. Like we see, we have them marked here. Now let's add. So we are going to, now there is a server. So server, let's go to dependencies. Let's add so add project reference. We are going to add the logic library. So there's the library. Let's add this library. Click on OK. Also, let's go to this project that is for the client section. Let's go to dependencies. Let's add project reference. And let's add the logic. So you see that the logic here is like a shared project. Now it has been added to both projects. Okay, so the client section doesn't have the authority to get into the server straight, but as to have access to the logic, then the logic have access to the server, and in that manner it returns response in the same way. Now let's build the application now and see. So build solution. And if it builds successfully, then it means we are done. Then we go to install the or create models or classes for this project. So let's wait whilst it gets built. So it is now building. Now it has built the logic, and now building the server, and now there's a YouTube. So there is a client section. So let's wait. Okay, so now built successfully. So if you check the various dependencies, you're going to see the project that we have, or the packages that we have downloaded. Packages for the server, that's an API. We see we have the NG framework core, SQL, we have tools. Well, if we check the client section, dependencies, packages, we have Blazor local storage, buttons, drop down, grid, pop-up, and themes. Okay, so now we have this. What's the next thing to do? We have to create our project models. Now we need two models here. One is a response and one is the model. So here, let's close this first. Now since we have added the logic to both projects, when we create any model inside this logic, any of these can have access to. Okay, now this serves as a shared project, so it is sharing the file that we have here to the client and the server. Alright, now let's create this. So let's create a folder to the logic. Right click and click on add new folder. So this is model. Now this models is going to hold the models to the database connection, or to the database table. Aside from that, you're going to have data models here. So let's add another folder, and this folder we're going to name it as data models. So within the model, let's add one model, that's a class, and the name of this class is what? Pizza. That's all. Now this class that we have, we can clear all these from these usings because we don't need any of these. Now we change this to public instead of internal to public. Now here we're going to use an ID. The first property that we need is an ID. So let's see. So there's an ID, so that's the pizza ID. Then we can talk about string, and this string is a name, pizza name. Then we can talk about another string here, and this string is going to be image. So let's set this as image. We need another one. Let's set this as also string, and that is description. We need another one. This time around, double. You know, in pizza we have small size, medium, large, and extra large, right? So small size, so this is going to hold the amount, and this, so double, and this is medium size. So we have two left, another double, and this is large size and double. You want to have extra large. Yeah, so these are the things that we need for our model. So pizza model, you want to have pizza ID, since it's going to hold as a primary key in a database table. You want to have name, the name of the pizza, the image of it, and a description. Okay, aside from that, you want to have what is the small size price, what is the medium size, what is the large size, and what is the extra large, that's the last size. Alright, so we have this. We can now save this and we can close this pizza model. Then in a data model here, let's copy this as well. So let's copy this, then let's close it. So in a data model, right click, let's click on add new model, and this is pizza model. So let's paste this here. So public. Now the reason why we are doing this is we don't want to perform these properties or this attribute to the model that are going to be used in the database, because we set it as required. When you get into the database, it must have a number, okay, it must have for data, and here there's going to be an output from the client section. It's going to be a response from the client. So we have to create a data model separately so it can handle all those annotations. So let's set this as required. So it means when we create a model out of this, it has to have data first. So we set required here to the image, required to the description, size, medium, large, and extra large. Okay, you can decide to add maybe the minimum number, the minimum string length for description of your name, etc. But for now, we want to maintain this. Once you have the first data model, let's create another one that's going to be a response. So this response, what we're going to use to hold a response to the user. So this response model. Now in this response model, this public. Let's clear all this. Now this, we are going to use bool, and we can say success. So default is true, and we can talk about string message. Okay, so this is what we have now. Only two properties that we want to have. Let's save that. So when you talk about the data model, we have a pizza data model and we have a response model. So in terms of getting an output and input from the database, this is what you're going to use, the pizza model. But this pizza model is going to hold or depend on this model pizza here to get the data. So this is like a data view model, or request DTO and response DTO. If you want to make a request from database, we get it from this, and this pizza model get the data from this pizza model from the database. Also, we're going to hand it out to the pizza model to the client. That's what you want to do. Now the response model here, it is there to hold response. When you want to delete, if you want to create, you want to add any error or any message that you want to display to the user, the response model is going to handle that. So that's what you can see. We have success and we have message. Okay, so this response model is going to handle the message from this pizza model, this model here. Okay, now once we are done with this, that is the aim of this lesson. So we've created our models, and also we've installed our NuGet packages. Let's configure the NuGet packages first. So let's go to the app settings under the server. So app setting.json. Here we need to create our connection string here, okay, and specify our database name. So we can do something like this. So connection strings, then we open this. Let's separate it here. Let's give the name as default connection. Okay, so you want to set the server here. So server is equal to local, so that's the local host. Database is equal to, so this is pizza bay for YouTube. Okay, now you can have integrated security. So let's have a trusted connection, and let's set this to true. And also let's trust server certificate. Let's also set this to true. Alright, so we are done setting a database connection. Now in the Solution Explorer, here in the program.cs file, we have to create a connection. So let's do this in the fourth lesson. So in the fourth lesson, we're going to add all our connections here, and we're going to perform database migration in the fourth lesson. Okay, so see you in the fourth lesson. Hello friends, welcome back to this lesson. So we are going to talk about adding database migration in this lesson 4. So let's see. Now in the server project, now you can see we have the API. We are in, and let's add builder.services. So add DB context. And now here we are going to pass in app DB context. So this class we are yet to create it. Okay, so let's add a name first. Then let's pass in options. This options max 2. You can now open this over here. Let's close this over here. And now we are saying options.use SQL server. And now in that we need to also call in builder.services.configuration. So configuration. So builder.services.configuration. Okay, so that configuration dot, and here we have to get connection string. So let's see if you're on the right path. So instead of services, should have been builder.configuration dot get connection string. And now what is the name of the connection string? That is the default connection. This can be found in the appdb context. That's the app settings.json default connection. We can copy this and paste it to know whether we have what we have here. It is the same. Now let's copy this model, data model. So appdb context class. Let's save this. Then so continue editing. Now let's go to Solution Explorer here, and here we're going to create it in the API. Let's create a folder and name it as data. So that is data. Now data folder, let's create a class, and the name is going to be appdb context class. Appdb context. And now this class has to inherit from db context, which is part of the entity framework core. Now let's create a constructor out of this. So control plus period. Let's create a constructor here. We pass in this options, and we call this appdb context class. Let's pass it to this db options. So we have the constructor created. So here let's create a table, and we're going to use db set, and that is a pizza. So you close it, and now the name that we want to use here is pizzas. So control plus period. Let's use project logic models. So we have a database created. Now the next thing that we want to do after doing this is let's go to the program here, and now let's control plus period. Let's use the data as indicated here. Okay, now we are almost done here. So what you have to do here next is to perform database migration. Okay, but before you perform database migration, So before I perform database migration here, now one thing that you have to do here is we have to, you see, we have an API separately, and we have almost 3 separate projects, API and the client section. Now we want to establish connection between them, so we are going to use a call to create that connection with them. Okay, so in here with the API program.cs file and the app.use Swagger UI, let's also add app.use. Let's use course. So now with this course that you want to use, so app.use course. So with this course, we want to pass in policy. So this is a policy. This policy max2. Let's open bracket here and we close it. Now we want to say policy dot with origin. So we want to use with origin. Then let's go to here. Since you are working with the API, we need to add the client route or the address. So let's go to the project here. Now there's the client address, so let's copy this, and now let's come here and now paste it. So we paste this here. Okay, now we are not supposed to add this forward slash, and we bring comma, and also we paste the same thing, but this time around there's an HTTP and there's HTTPS. Okay, so once we are done with this, we can also add dot. So allow any header or any method. So let's use this any method. Also dot, let's use with header, so with headers. Then here we can specify this header's name. So header names. So header names, do I have it here? So with headers, let's see 12, we can have the exact. So we have with headers, then we can now go in for header names dots. Then let's see, so control period, let's use HTTP headers. So dot content type, so content type, then we close this. So we are establishing the connection here. Now the next thing that we want to do here is let's go to the project, that is a client project. So with the client project, we open this, and now in the program.cs file we add this first. So let's add, so builder.services add Blazor local storage. We have it done. Then we can add Syncfusion. So builder.services add Syncfusion Blazor. Okay, now we need to register the Syncfusion. So with the registration, you can have a community license free. Go to that site, register and claim a community license. It is free. Actually I have mine here, so I'm going to copy mine and just paste it over there. So mine is here, and I'm going to copy this and I'm going to paste this here as a license. So that is a license. Alright, so once I have this license, I'll just save this, and we have to also register this, call the IP address, or is it that's the address of the API in this client project. Okay, so beneath, let's pass it here. so builder.services dot add scope. So add scope, and now with this add scope, let's use this, and we want to pass in this SPA-Max2 and new. You can use an HTTP client. Then here you can call a base address. Now this base address is equal to new URI. And now what is a API address? So let's go there and copy. So this is API, that is the address. So 72, not that one, so that is this one, Swagger UI. So 7190. So let's grab this. Now let's go and we paste it here. With this, you're going to bring the forward slash, take a note, then you close this. Okay, so once you have this, everything is set now and we are good to go. What's the next thing to do? So let's see if it is actually coming from. So we have this is coming from, okay, so this is an API, that's a server, and this is the client. Okay, now let's build this and now try to perform migration and see. So let's build the solution. So we wait for the solution to be built. Okay, so now succeeded. Now let's perform database migration, and let's click on tools, manage NuGet packages, and let's go for package manager console. Now in here we need to select the server project. So this is a server project, and so CLS, I want to clear this first. So add migration, and the name I want to give here is initials. So output, I want to pass into a data folder, open it and create a folder called migrations. Okay, let's add migration and see what happens here. So build succeeded. Now let's wait while it generates all the necessary models that it needs to, so it can perform, you can write to the SQL server. Alright, so migration is done. So update database. So let's wait. Now build succeeded. Now let's wait to run models using the EF core entity. Okay, so now it is done. So you can now save this. Now in order to confirm for a database or table connection or creation, let's go to SQL Server Objects. Alright, so in order to verify that whether a database table has been created, this is what we can do. We can now launch my MS, that's the Microsoft SQL Server Studio, and in here you can see under database section we have Pizza for YouTube, and that is a database that we created. It contains two tables, and when you open the table here, you have the Pizza table. That is only one table here. So you have Pizza table here, and we have size. No size here, it is not part of this, so we can just clear the size up. We only have the Pizza table in our database now, so that's what we have. Okay, so when we check our models, that's what we could see. We have it under the Solution Explorer, and Pizza Logic, you see we have it right here as size. And now this size that we have here, I just created this for testing purpose. Let's clear it off because we don't need this for now. Okay, so that is it. That's what we have. Now let's see. So let's check if it has open. Alright, so it is still executing, and if you check the database, you can see we have if you open this columns, we have the various columns that we specified as ID up to the extra large price. Okay, so that is it. So in this video we're able to create a migration, and we are done with perform migration. So our next lesson, we're going to start with creating our API, so our service to be rendered to the client. So if I want to add pizza data, how are we going to do it? We're going to create a service to render that in the next video. So thank you for watching, and I'm going to see you in the next lesson. Hello friends, now welcome back to the next lesson. So as indicated earlier on, we are going to talk about how to create a services to render a pizza to the database, either by adding to the database or by retrieving from the database. So let's create a folder in the server project as an API, and we're going to name it as services. So there's services. So inside these services, let's create two interface. So let's create one interface here. So add new item, and let's name this as iService. So there is an interface here, and you can name it as iService. Let's create an implementation class, and this is service. So this is going to inherit from iService. You can now generate constructor for it. Okay, so for the interface, this is what you want to do. I have the code here already, so I'm going to leave it at the GitHub, so I'll just put the link under the description, so you can check out that and grab the code. Instead of typing all this, you can just grab the code, because I have done it already. So just go in there and grab it. That's so simple. So these are the things that you want to do, or you want to get from this service. So with the interface, this is what you want to have. So we want to have a response, so add pizza, and this is a pizza, and we're going to have this get pizzas, and get pizza single one, and also tags delete pizza. So let's add this. So using data models. Alright, so this is what we're going to have. Now you can change this to list. Yeah, let's make it as list. Okay, so now we have this. So there is add pizza, and this is what we have get pizza. So they're going to add the pizza. They're going to get all the pizzas here. Get pizza by ID, and now delete it by ID. That's very simple. Now let's go to the service, and now here we have to implement the interface. But before we implement the interface, we have to inject the DB context file. So now let's first inject this DB context. So I just grab this, and I'll just paste it here. So copy this, and now paste this here. So we've injected, initialized the AppDB context. That's a database connection. Also, let's go to implement the interface. So the first interface that we are implementing is the add pizza. So this is add pizza. Let me grab this, and here, as I said earlier on, the code will be available, so you can just check it out from the GitHub. Very simple. So this response and control plus period. Let's inject the data models here. So we are adding pizza here. That's a pizza model. So in order to add this is what we are doing here. Now we check if this is not equal to null, then adding. So if the model here is not equal to null, and the model is greater than 0, it means we want to update it. So if the model is greater than 0, then we are updating. So this is going to update it over here. But if the ID is equal to 0, it means you want to add. then we are going to check from the database. So we're using this. So let's use anti-framework call. So we're going to check from the name and check if the same file with the same name of the same pizza data with the same name already exists. If it exists, then we want to skip it, but if it doesn't, then we want to add and save changes here and return this to the user. Okay, so if emoji is equal to null, then this is what we want to return to the user. So this is very simple one that we are doing. Now the next one that we are going to do here is to add or update pizza. So let's get all pizza here. So we can now minimize this. Forget about this. We're going to get there by getting pizza by ID. So this is going to call that method. So let's minimize this. Now here, the next one that we want to do here is the next implementation. That is, get a list of pizzas. So get all pizza here. So let's set this to list. So get all pizza. And now here you are just returning the whole pizza here to list. Very simple thing that we are doing. Now you can also minimize this. Now the next one that we want to do is get pizza by ID. So get pizza by ID, and you can have the source code over here. So we can grab this and also paste this here. So get pizza by ID. We search it from the database and I return the results. Very simple. So when we are done with this, you can see this is going to cut off. We see, so it has now found the method. So it is it. Now the last one here is delete user. Sorry, delete pizza. So let's grab that, and this to delete. So here we're deleting it and we return a response. So you first get the ID. In case we have it is not equal to null, then we do this else. Then we can set this message is equal to this, maybe this result dot message. You can set like this. So result dot message. So okay, so this pizza is returning. So this is what we can do. Let's maintain this. So pizza error is not found. Okay, so very simple thing that we are doing here. So we delete. In case we get it, then we're going to remove it. Then we save changes. Return this, delete successfully. So that is it. Now we are done with our services. So what else can we do? Let's register the service. So let's go to the solution. Now the same API, we go to the program.cs file, and now we're going to add the service. So how do we add the service? Very simple. So builder.services.add scope. Now iService, then service. So it is not service collection, rather service. So iService. So control plus period using service folder, and that's all. So we are done with this, and that is it. Alright, so our next one, we're going to talk about how to create controller to render this service that we have called. We're going to talk about in the next lesson. So I hope this is clear now. Yeah, and that is it. As I said earlier on, the source code will be at the GitHub. So check the description, and you're gonna have a link to download it and grab the source code over there. Okay. So don't waste time to just type all this. If you think you want to type, you can do that. Okay, but it's still available there, so you can just grab it for free. Alright, so see the next lesson. So we talk about creating a controller to render this service. Hello guys, welcome back to lesson 6. In this video, we're going to talk about creating a pizza controller as indicated earlier on in the lesson 5 video. So let's get going. Now we have a services, and you can see, as you can see from here, we have the add pizza, get pizza by ID, and delete pizza by ID created. The implementation is also ready over here, and we have also called dependency injection among them. So what we can do here is you have to go in there and create our controller. So right click on the controllers folder, the same API, and I click on new controller. And this controller, we're going to name it as pizza. So API new one, and it's going to be an API. So let's say pizza. So pizza controller. Now in this pizza controller we have to create a constructor. So as indicated on, I have it here, and I'm going to leave a description like this video, so check the link there. You can have a link to download from the GitHub. So we inject this iService. So let's inject this iService here. So iService, and this is service. Okay, so we inject this iService as service. So let's inject this. Now let's grab this, let's paste them here, and I can copy this and we can set this to what you can see right here. Yeah, so we have our service injected. Now what we can do here is first thing, let's see, so let's grab add pizza, and this is an HTTP post. So there's a response, it is returning a response over here. So let's inject this, and here it is coming with a pizza model. And this pizza model, as you can see from here, we have the model. We check if it's not equal to null, then that's what we want to do. So return okay. Okay, then let's call this service here. So we call this service. Okay, then we add the model coming in here. We add the model. If not, then return bad request. Very simple thing that we are doing. The next thing here is to get all pizza. So get the whole list of pizza, and that is what we are doing over here. So there's an HTTP get, that is a verb, and now here it is list. So let's set as list, and so let's call this service. So dot get pizzas. Then if not equal to null, return okay. But if it's equal to null, then we want to return this, maybe with this message, no data found. You can save that. Now the next one that you want to do here is to get a single pizza by ID. So we can get single pizza by ID. We specify the ID over here as a parameter, and we make it as an integer. So we get it over here at pizza, and if ID is greater than 0, then want to return okay. So let's pass in this service, then get pizza. If not, then want to return this to the user. Very simple one that we are doing. So let's try to, yeah, so these are the HTTP method that you want to have. So just 3 of them. Okay, so that's all. Now this add pizza here is going to handle add and update. You're going to handle both of those processes. So that is what you're going to handle over here. And this is to get pizza, get a whole list of pizza, and there's a get a single one. Now the last one here is delete. So let's see if we can have the delete one over here, and that is it. So the HTTP verb here that we're going to use is also delete. So this is delete pizza, and it is returning a response. So if ID is greater than 0, then we call this service, then delete pizza, else we want to return this. Yeah, so our controller is also ready. Now the next thing I want to do here is you have to create a component and now call this service in our component. That is what you want to do. Okay, so this lesson here is to create controller. Now we are done. Very simple one. We are done with it. Okay, so let's see the next lesson 7. We're going to talk about also how to creating the component and calling this component, calling this a controller in there to render either adding pizza, getting pizza, get a pizza by ID, or deleting pizza in that component. Hello friends, welcome back to the channel. So this is lesson 7, and we're going to talk about creating pizza list with a component. Let's go to Solution Explorer. Now in the Pizza Bay, that's our client project. Pages folder, right click, and now let's create a folder in there. Let's create a razor component, and this razor component here, let's name it as pizza list. So this is pizza list dot razor. Alright, so this is what we have. The new component is now ready, so we can save this. And as I said earlier on, I'm going to copy all this here. I'm going to paste it there because I've done this already, and it's too long for sake of time too. I'm going to leave a description, so check the description here. I'll leave a link over there. Click on that link, go to GitHub and grab this code over there. Okay, so I'll just have to paste it here, then we talk about it. Now here we are using a Syncfusion component, and remember that we've added a Syncfusion, but in order to make this work, okay, we have to add a CSS and the JavaScript file. So go to Solution Explorer. Now in your Solution Explorer, you will see there's this host.cshtml, add css / Syncfusion Blazor icon.css, and also add this, so bootstrap, add it, and also we have to add this link star sheet content syncfusion.blazor.themes.bootstrap5.css, because if we added the themes, we downloaded the themes package, so it is there, and we have to also add this. So add the first one, add the next one over here, and also add this over here as well. Okay, so that's what you need to do. So when you are done, let's see. So here instead of this is iService, and it is service. So control plus period. So iService could not be found, control plus period. Now let's see first. So this service here, what can we do to get this? So we have to first get, now let's clear this off first because we don't need this for now. Okay, now down here we have this SF dialog box, and there's a weight, and that's the reference that we're making. There's a height, and this is a target. Target is referring to the top one here. We have show close icon, true, so it's modal true, and this is what the binding value that you want to bind to make it as visible and not visible. So this is a template, and this is a content. So inside the content, that's where you want to render small, medium, large, and extra large as a SF radio button. So we're also using the same radio button, and they'll have the same value change, and the label over here we have the same name, and the values different. So this is the values that we have from the amount, the small price amount, the large, medium, large, and the extra large price. Okay, aside from that, you can see all have been bind to this variable, so that as soon as we click on that, you can have the variable kept here. Okay, so that is it. Then here we are displaying a div over here with an image, and then we display the description. Now as you can see from here, this is found in the SF dialog box. So this is the dialog component, and that's where you find all this in. Okay, so when we are done, you can see we have a button, add to other list, and also cancel. Now when I click on this, it is a primary, and it is calling this method, so we pass in the ID. Now there's an add to list click. Now if it is clicked, what do you want to do? We want to talk about that. But next one here, we are checking if pizza is not equal to null, then you're going to loop to the pizza and set this. So if we check here, we have a link here, and this handle pizza click. Okay, so we have two methods, add pizza click and this handle pizza click. They're all coming with the same ID and ID over here. Now with this, we also have the same image down here, and that's the height, and we have the name displayed beneath over here. Now let's come to the code and see. So we first set this as a parameter, we pass as an ID, and now this is a reference to the dialog box. We have a string checked. This is the variable that held the SF radio button, as indicated here. You can see they have the same variable checked here. So this is going to hold the results when values change, and you can see we have is visible, so currently it is set to false. We have list, that's pizzas, and this pizza, so we have a list of this, and we have a single one. Now if page overwrite, when the page loads for the first time, or if the page renders itself again all the time, this is what I want to do. There is a lifecycle event or method. So as soon as the page refresh it, it also gets called. So we want to call this method, and this get pizzas. So this is a method. So we get pizzas from the JSON async, and here you can see we have list pizza. Then there's an route and the API pizza. Now this handle click, we pass in the ID. So if that button is clicked, okay, we want to this the pizza that we have here. We want to call this method over here, and now this is the API. We pass in the ID, so we are getting a single pizza, and we store it to this pizza as indicated, a single one indicated over here. Then we display visible to true. So if it is set visible to true, the dialog box is going to show, then we're going to have that image or that data displayed. Also, when parameter changes, we want to, and if ID is greater than 0, then we want to call the same method, because the parameter changes here is coming in with a value, and that value must be greater than 0. If so, then call this method, and now call search for the data using the ID that has been passed on, and also display the information onto the dialog box. When it is cancelled is clicked, then hide it. Okay. Also, when I come here, this is add to list. Now when add to list is clicked, first you want to display this, and we want to convert the checked to double. Now this check here, it is the SF radio button, the value. We want it to double, and now we are going to create a new order model. So this is a new order model that I want to create, and that is if you want to order. Okay, so let's see now with this, I want us to comment this. We come back to this later on, so let's comment this. Okay, so this, when the value change, we store the value here with the string check with the SF radio button. Okay, now this is an image CSS, and that's when the image is hovered, you want to set the opacity to 0.5. Yeah, so that is a simple thing that we are doing here. And now with this is what we want to do. So let's call this pizza list in the index.html razor page. So here, index here, let's call that. So we can do that in the index. So for now, let's call only this. So we can call this pizza list. Okay, now save this, and now let's run this and see what we have now. So it's now reloading over here, so let's wait to see the output with the pizza list that we have created. Okay, so you can see we have no data here. So the reason why this page is blank here is we have no pizza added. Okay, so the page has been displayed, but there's no data in this page to display it on the screen. So if we check our database, that is when we go to SQL Server object, and now in here we have a database pizza table. If you open it, you can see we have nothing here. We have the table structure, but there's no data here. So let's create a component to add the data to this database. So we're going to create a component here. So let's go to Solution Explorer and another client project. You can see we have pages. So right click on the pages, and now let's add a new razor component. The name of this component is going to be administration component. So let's say administration. So administration component, let's click on add. And as I said earlier on, the source code will be available, so I have it here because I've done it already. So I have to just go there, grab them, explain. Check the description, and you're going to see a GitHub link. Click on it, you're going to have access to this code. Grab them and I use them for free. Yeah, so I have this here. I'm going to grab all this, and now we go back to our page where we have administration components page, then we paste this. Now let's take time and go through them. Okay, so initially the first thing, this is what we are doing. Now if you check on top here, there is a route. So this route here, it is managed. So here we have two routes. The first one comes in with no ID or no parameter, but the second one here has parameter. So the same page can accept a pizza with a parameter and also a pizza with that parameter, and that is an add-in. So if a pizza has a parameter, it means you're going to update it because it has been saved already. But if it doesn't have parameter, it means you're now about to save it. Okay, so that is new and update. Okay, so we inject HTTP client and we inject JavaScript, and we inject navigation manager to navigate us to other pages if you want to. Now we have a div, and that's the target, the height and the width has been set here. Now we are using a same function dialog box. So this dialog here, we have the width, height, target as indicated here. We have the show icon, enable resize, and all this stuff. Now the next one here is a bind visible. Here is going to be true or false. So if it is true, it means this dialog box is going to be shown. If it is false, hidden. Now we want to check the header here. So we want to update and add. So we check if ID is greater than 0, it means we updating it. But else, then we are adding. That is when ID is equal to 0. That is for the header of the dialog box. When it comes to the content, we have card, and there's a card body. When we have an edit form, and that is a model, so pizza model. Now when it button is clicked, when the submit button is clicked, this handle is going to handle it. This is a data annotation by data, and this is a summary. So this is going to display all errors that occur whilst filling this form. We have pizza name, description, small price, medium price, large price, and extra large price as indicated in the pizza menu. So that is the validation summary, and it checks that each of these must have a value. Okay, we have an image. Now in this image, when a file change here, this event here is called, that's the on file change. We're going to handle that. Okay, now in here we have a message to display, that is when any error occurred in terms of uploading the picture. We're going to display it over here for the user to see. So if all this makes access, there's an output of the image when the image has been successfully uploaded and converted into base64 string. Then we're going to display the image here. So that's so we have an image tag, and that is the source. So the source, we are setting the source to this image output, so we can display the image tag here, or the image itself, and that is the style. Okay, now when it comes to the buttons, you can see since you're going for update and add button, you have to separate them. We can separate them using the same ID as a parameter coming in. So when you click on this button to come to the administration component, and the ID coming in here, it is greater than 0, it means the data want to be updated. So you want to use, or you want to display cancel and update pizza. But in case the ID is 0, then you want to reset, cancel, and also add pizza. So these are the buttons that you want to display on each form. Okay, we have edit form closed. Now the pizza model that we have stored here, that's the pizza model. Let's go through and see. So when you come down here, the pizza model is over here, and as you can see, let me move this. Yeah, so this is the pizza model. Now pizza model here, we are creating the pizza model as indicated. Now you know when you go to Solution Explorer and you go to the logic project, because you have models and we have data models. Pizza model comes under the data models, and pizza itself is under the model. Pizza itself is what we use to create a database and its column, so we don't want to touch it. Now in order to submit data to this pizza model to get into the database, you have to create a data model, and that's known as a pizza model. So pizza model contains the same data, the same properties as this pizza. If you check, it is from ID up to extra large. When you check the pizza here, it is also from ID to extra large. But if you check the pizza model like this, you can see we have annotations here, that's a required attribute, and the data type as well. Okay, so if you want to apply all this format, you have to create a data model out of this model, because if you pass the model on top of this, that's the data model here, you're going to have an error in the database connection, or in the inserting data to the database. So you have to create data models, and that's what we have. So this is like a prototype of this pizza model, this pizza. Okay, so it means if you want to send data to database, you have to convert it from this pizza model to this pizza before you can get to database. And now when you get it out of database, you can also convert it from this pizza to this pizza model and display it to the user. I hope this is very simple and it's easy to understand and you've gotten it right. Good. So let's move on now. Now in here we create a method here. Now when we go to, so let's first close this here. Let's close this. Let's close this. Let's close this. Let's close this. Handle, close this. Close this. Close this too. And now you are here. So when handle add is clicked, that is when the button, a submit button is clicked. This method is going to be called to handle the edit form. Now as you can see from here, we store a model, create a model here. Okay. Then here it is convert pizza model to pizza. So since we want to insert the database, we have to convert it from the pizza model to pizza. So we call this method, and we pass in this model coming in. So this model here is a pizza model. Okay, so we are converting to just pizza, and that's going to be stored as a model here. So when you call this model, let's see. So this is a model. Now it's over here. So convert pizza model to pizza. If you click on that, you can see we create a new pizza. Then we pass in id is equal to this model.id. Okay, so at the end of the day we are returning R, and the return output here is pizza. So this, when it gets to the database, now it knows it because that's what it used to create a database table. So we are done with that. Now when you are done, we store the output here, and now we call this post as JSON async using the HTTP client. Then there is the route API and the controller name, that's a pizza. We pass in this model. So this model going in here is a pizza, not a pizza model. So there's a pizza, that's a default or native model that it needs to get to database. Now this is going to return a response. If you actually remember when we're creating those services, we have here as a response. So this is going to return a response. We read the response over here, and now we refresh, we get all pizza. So this pizza, you're going to get all the data from the pizza as soon as it has been added. So this get pizza. Let's go for this get pizza model, and get pizza is over here. So you can see we create pizzas, and the pizzas here is a list of pizza. So we store it over here, and now we get all lists of pizza from database. That is the controller name as API and the controller as pizza. So we are done with also this. Now when we are done calling it, we have to refresh this SF grid. Now what is this SF grid? That is the next thing that you're going to display. Now you can know that when you add data, it has to display for you to see. SF grid, it is there to display the image from the database that you have added. Okay, so you refresh the SF grid. Now in this SF grid here, it is an instance of the SF grid that we have added. So this is the SF grid, and that is it. So we are going to refresh it, and now we invoke async by calling the JavaScript alert key. So response, we pass the message that's going to pop up. It could be that the name has been, or the pizza has been added already, it's going to pop up. It could be that it has successfully added, going to pop up. It could be that successfully updated, is going to pop up as well. So all forms of messages that are going to come out of this service that you are calling, or the API that we are calling, this is going to handle that, either update, delete, etc. Okay, all. Now when an file change event happens, so we can create an object as E from this input file change event argument, and now you store the format here. So you want to detect if the image is JPG, JPEG, or PNG. Okay, so if it's any, then we create a format. We store the format here. Then if not, then we want to return this. Maybe the person can select a movie, that's .mov, .mp4, mp3, and etc. You want to return this. Only JPG, JPEG, and PNG acquired or required here. So if not, then we want to create this. We create the format. We create a file with the format, and now the size file, or the size of the file. We create a buffer. We read from the stream. Then we create an 64 string of an image. So then the pizza.image here, we store to the string image. Okay, so when we call pizza.image, after conversion, the 64 string here is going to be stored here, and now you can use it. That's why when you go to the edit form, you can see that we have an image file there, and that image file, it is used as an image tag, and the source is pizza.image as indicated here, pizza.image, and that is the that's the source here. Okay, so the next thing that we are doing is, once you have this added, we are done. So this is going to save, or this is going to work for us. Now the next thing to do here is to display the output. So that is the reason why I brought this SF grid. So let me just minimize this dialog box because we are done with the SF dialog. Now we are going to the SF grid component. It is a UI component, very important and very functional as well. It has a lot, sorting, grouping, filtering, paging, and etc. Okay, so that's what we've done here. So that is a search tool, add up to PDF export. Then this is an SF grid. It's actually a scene fusion. So we've done the process, how to install, how to configure, and etc. We've done this in the lessons here, so you can check the lessons to know more. Okay, so we have the pizzas here. There's a list of pizza that we have called from the API. So there's a reference, and this reference is what you're going to use to refresh the pizza or refresh this SF grid. We have all these are the attributes, and don't worry, I'm going to make this available at the source, at the description in the GitHub. So go there and grab them. Okay, so this is an action. This action occurs when a new data is added, update, delete. Okay, it's added. Now if I delete it, there's an event going to call. If I add a new item, this event going to call, and if I delete an item, this event going to call. So we're going to work on that. You can see here we have what? We have an edit because you can see pencil. So there's an edit. We call this manager component. We pass in the ID as indicated at the header. You know, this is the manager and there's an ID. So as soon as we pass in the ID, it means this is going to accept it. The SF is going to accept it, and now we can now manage it with the dialog box. We have image here, and that is a pizza, the various columns, description, large size and small size up to the ID. Yeah, so we called, you can see this is a parameter that we have created as an ID, and there is an object that we have created as of the SF grid, and there is a message that we display when uploading image occurs, error occurs as indicated on the dialog box. There is a visible to display the component, that is dialog component, and we have the list object of the list pizza, and we have object of for the pizza model. Okay, so when page loads initially, we want to grab all pizza from database, so we call this method, and now we call this method to get all data from the database. Now if page loads and ID is greater than 0, it means an edit has been clicked, so we have to call this method, and now we get the ID of that data, then we pass it, we equate it to this pizza data. Okay, so this pizza here is equal to convert to pizza model, the result coming in from here, and we convert it here because you know that this pizza here, it is a single object, so this is going to return to a single object, so we can now convert it to convert pizza to pizza model, then set it to this pizza model we have created here and display, and open this dialog. So this method here opens the dialog, and it's a very simple thing that we are doing. You know, defaultly we've set here to false to make the dialog hidden. Now if you set that variable to true, dialog is going to be shown. So that is exactly what we are doing. So when you call open dialog, it means set this to true. That's a very simple thing that we've done. So that's when page initializes. And now when parameter changes, we want to also check if ID greater than 0, then we call the same method. So maybe this is what we can do. We can cut this method, and I cut this method and put it in one method because actually the same one. Then we can call it this side and this side. Okay, so you can do that. You can escape duplicating statements. You can just go create a one method and I'll call it numerous times instead of creating multiple statements or making multiple calls. Okay, then you have to convert it to pizza model. Good. Then the next thing that we are doing here after creating this here is the buttons. You can see we have clear model. Now clear model happens when you want to add new one or when a parameter changes. Now if you check here, this is going to open dialog. Now when the page initializes, this is going to also open dialog, right? So when ID is greater than 0, ID is going to be called here, and I'm going to set the data to this pizza. Now when this model opens, the data here is going to be filled with the dialog already. Now let's see. The next one that we are doing here is the open dialog, and this is going to set the dialog to true, to visible. Now this is handle dialog click. So what is handle dialog click? Now if I click on handle dialog click, it's going to navigate me to the manage page, and I'm going to clear the model and now open dialog. So let's check the handle dialog click. Let's check it over here. That is this button. So we have a button on top here, that is the add pizza button. So if I click on this add pizza button, if I want to add new data, I click on this button, and at this button here is going to call this. It's going to navigate to the home page, and now as soon as it navigates to the home page, it sets the default ID parameter to 0 because there's no ID special that hasn't specified here. So it set the ID to 0, and the dialog box is going to know that since the ID is 0, it means you're going to add. Then you're going to clear model. So this, where from this method, clear model here, you're going to set the pizza name and the extra price to 0, to the default values. Then, as you can see from here, we open dialog. So setting the variable towards true. So this is a clear model. And now there's a button. You can see we have a click, cancel, click. So when you cancel, we want to hide the dialog box. We set it to false. Okay. Then we have a add handle at get pizza on file change. We've spoken about that. Now here it is an action begin. So if I want to add, if it is saved, then we check if data is not equal to null. If everything is correct, then we want to call this method. So we call post JSON as async. We pass in this is a route API and then the pizza name or the controller's name. Then here we pass in the data. Now we store it and return a message. Get the whole list of pizza, refresh the database, or refresh the SF grid. Very simple thing. If not, then we have to return this as an error message. But if the user clicks on the delete, then we want to go for delete async, then read the response, and I return the response and refresh the SF grid. Okay, so that's the simple thing that you want to do. So let's save this, and now let's run this application and see. So I'm going to click on this to run this application and see what's going to happen. So now our page is now loaded. Let's go to navigate. That is manage, because that is a route. Now manage here, we are not passing any ID, so it means default the ID is 0, and if the ID is 0, it means you're going to add pizza data, right? Good. So let's wait and see. Now that is an SF grid that we have, and these are the tools that we specified. You see we have add, edit, delete, update, and etc. And there's also sort, and the source code is there, so don't worry, you're going to see everything here. So currently there's no record here. Let's add pizza data. So click on this. As soon as I click on this, you're going to call the method known as the open dialog, and this open dialog is going to say that set the invisible to true, because if we check the open dialog, invisible here says set to true, and that is the reason why you can see this dialog box. So let's try to add some images here and see. So click on the choose file, and I'm going to choose a pizza image. So I choose this pizza image. Now it's going to convert this into an 64 string, and there's an image output displaying the image here. Okay, now let's see, let's go for the name. Now I have this web.restaurant.store.com, and it tells you a lot more about the types of pizza. We say we have this Neapolitan pizza. Let me grab that as the name. So here, Neapolitan, I'm going to copy this and let me go to, that's the name here. So name, paste it. Now let me go there and grab the description and the topping. So what comes together to form this pizza? I'm going to grab this. Now there is an introduction to the pizza, the description of it. Now the last one here is a topping. So what we come together, or what added together to form that Neapolitan pizza. So I'm going to grab that too, and here I'm going to paste under the description. Therefore here it is what the size, the small price is what, let's say 40. I'm going to set it to 80. This is 150, and this is 200. So that is it. Click on add and see what happens here. So you can see from here that process done. Now let's choose another image. As soon as I'm done, you can see a method known as get or called, and you can see we have the data displayed here. So this is a real time, right? Now click on this. Let's go for California pizza, and that is a California pizza. And once I have this, I'm going there to grab the content about California pizza. And you have California right here. This is a New York style, Sicilian, Greek, and California, and that is it. So I'm going to grab all this California, and let's go there and I'll paste it there. So under description, grab this and I'll paste this. Let's go for the toppings, what come together to form the California pizza. That is a California traditional toppings. I'm going to paste it here beneath the description. Now I'm going to set this to 80, and let's say 160, and 240, and let's say 290. Let's say that's extra large. Now I'm going to add way 2, so add. So this is already added. So let's see this. Okay, so here's California pizza, so we have to grab this is California, so paste this and now add, and this is done. So let's add one more. So I'm going to add this to Chicago, this Chicago one, and let's set the price here as 35. Let's say this is 70, this is 100, and this is 150. So let's go to the Chicago, let's grab the data from Chicago and I'll paste it over there. So I have Chicago is over here, so I'm going to grab this, then Chicago, paste that. Let's grab the descriptions here and let's go to this and paste it. Now you can go in for the toppings. So there's a toppings, can grab this, and now in here can paste this. So you can add this and now process done. Let's add one more. So we have Detroit, so let's go for this nice one. And now this cost much, so 135, this 170, and this is 200, and let's say this is 250. So let's go there and I'll grab it. So I'm grabbing this, copy, go to the code description, highlight or paste, go back, copy this, now the page, and now here paste it. Okay, so now you have this add, and you're also done. So we have 4 now. Let's add 2 more and see. So we have pizza. Now go for Greek one. So this Greek one I'm going to set here as 90, 180, 270, 350. So let's see Greek on. So I'm going to grab this, and we can now paste this. So let's copy this and I'll paste it here, and maybe you can add a topping. So traditional toppings, and grab this and I'll paste it. So click on that, yeah, process done. So this is okay. Now as soon as I click on cancel, it set this to false. So you can see we have 3, so 3 here, we have 2 here, okay, making 6. Okay, so we can still add one more to make it 6. Now making 5. Let's add one more to make it at 6, and you can go in for New York style. So this is New York style, and let's see. So New York style. Okay, so you can grab this, go to the page, and that's the title, New York style. Let's go for description and toppings. So description over here. You can now copy this, grab this, and let's see. We have toppings. You can grab this and now paste it. Now the price here is 88. We have 190, 95, 250, and 307. So click on add, yeah, and it is now added. So you can click on this button to also close it. So you have 3 here, 3 here. Now let's copy this and refresh our page and see. So I'm going to copy this, open the next UI or the next tab, and now let's paste and see what we have now. So you can see we have this. So we have this image here. Now as soon as I click on this, you can see we have a pop-up, and I can see we have all the sizes displayed here. Okay, but as soon as I click on add to order, nothing happens. Add to order, nothing happens. Now check this. So large order, nothing happened. Extra large, nothing happened. 350. Now let's say this is what 250 extra large. Add to order, nothing happened. So in the next video, we're going to talk about how to create a service to render add to order list service, so that as soon as I click on this button, it can handle that and add it to the list or the order that I want to make for the day. Thank you guys for watching. See you in the next lesson. Alright guys, so welcome to the 8th lesson. Now in this video, we are going to talk about creating an order list service. Now I could say in the previous video, we were able to create this page and added this component as a pizza data and the image as well. Now if I click on any of this image over here, you can see I have a pop-up. Now this dialog box that displays, if I click on add to order list, nothing happens here. So because the reason why nothing happens is we haven't created any service to render or to be called when this button is clicked. So that is what you're going to do in this video. Okay, so let's start. We're going to create a service here, and in the next video we're going to talk about consuming the service that have been created. So let's go to the projects. Now in the client section, right click, let's create a folder, and the name of the folder is going to be services. So let's add a new folder, and that's going to be services. So services, let's create an interface known as I. So new item, so I ordered service, and this is going to be an interface, and here it is I ordered service. So I ordered service, let's grab this only. Now let's create this, and now let's create an implementation as a class, and that's going to be ordered service. So ordered service as a class, and you know this I ordered service gonna inherit from, or this ordered service gonna inherit from this I ordered service. Okay, let's go to the interface. Now you know I'm gonna make this source code available at the GitHub link, so you can just go in there and now grab them. So let's see. Now we are going to copy this, and over here that's an order service. So this method, let's grab this method, and now we are going to paste this method over here. And you know we want to create a service in order to get count of the pizza that the user or the client is going to add to the order or is going to order. So we have to get a number of orders that the user has made, so we can know the number of orders pizza that we have to return to the user, right? So in such case, we need a real-time event counter. Now this counter has to count as soon as an order has been made, and it has to tell the user how many orders the user has. Okay, so in such that we're going to create this event, and we're going to name it as what? This is an action event, and the name is unchanged. Now why we have this event here is as soon as you create this event, it's going to broadcast the whole here when you invoke it, it's going to broadcast it and now to a whole application. Now as soon as it broadcasts, all components can have access to subscribe to this component. Now when it subscribe, the action taken here is going to reflect that, and by calling state has changed, it's going to refresh the application or the component itself. So let's say this component A has this event, and now we are invoking the event here. As soon as you invoke it, it broadcasts it to the entire application. Now if a next component tries to subscribe to this, it's going to refresh the application by using the state has changed event. It's going to refresh the application, and when it gets it refreshed, it's going to count the number of items that we have and display it on the top bar for the client to see the number of orders he or she has made. So let's create it. When we get there, you're going to understand this better. So we have an event created, and there's an account to get it counted. We have a response, so there's an add order. We have refresh count, and this what tags get all orders that the user has ordered. Now delete any order in case the user want to do so. So there's an order model. We have to create an order model. Now this order model, this is what it's going to do. It's going to keep the records, that's the pizza ID and the price the user has now chosen, to the client machine or client browser local storage. So that's why in the previous lessons, when we install the packages, we install Blazor.localstorage by Crescenti. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to store only the name, the pizza ID, and the pizza price. That's all. So that's what we're going to store here. So let's create a model with this. Let's Solution Explorer. Right click on the logic project data models, and I click on add new class, and the name of this class is going to be order model. Now with this order model, we need only two attributes or properties, and that's the pizza ID and pizza price. Okay, So pizza ID and pizza price, let's make it as public so we can access it globally. Now let's clear all this up because we don't need this for now. So we need pizza ID and pizza price. So that's what we're going to use to store the data to the local storage of the client machine. So after clicking this pizza to add, when the client goes to the local storage, you're going to see the item that has been clicked or ordered with the pizza ID and the pizza price only. Pizza name is off, everything is off except only these two properties. Now let's create the other one left, and that is the my orders model. So if the user clicks on that button to view all his orders, he can't view only the pizza ID and the price. No, he has to view the name, maybe the size, the price, the image of the pizza that has been chosen. And so in doing so, we have to create another model to handle that. So let's right click on the data model, click on class. Now let's add, that is there's my orders model. So my orders model, and let's see if you have to paste in this. So this is my orders model. Let's make it as public, and now let's clear this because we don't need any of these guys here. So let's clear them. Okay, so when we go to here, we can now grab this pizza ID, pizza name, image, and price. That's all what we need, or the user has to see based on the order that the user has made. So ID name, image, size, name, and price. We save that. Now when we go to that is the order service, that is the order interface, we can see we have all this here. Now in the order service, I have the code here, and as I said earlier on, I'm going to make this available. So please check the description. The source code is there. Grab it, and you can now read through it. So let me open this wide, and this is what we need to do. So I'm going to minimize all these so we can grab them. Okay, so let's grab this, and now let's go to the application, and we can now paste it here, and I'm going to explain them, so don't worry. And I'm going to just grab this and now paste this here. Now you can see this is the same, so let me clear one of these, and let's go down here and try to delete this because that is a closing. Okay, now if you check here, you can see that you can now copy this other service and create a constructor here. So we are injecting the iLocal storage service. Now you can see by Crescenti, when we installed the local storage service, and here we are injecting HTTP client to make a call to the API that we have created. So we inject them here, and I will initialize them so they are ready to be used. We close this. We create implementation for this count, and as the same as it looks, is the same count, and there is also the event. Now you create add order. So we create a new order here by the pizza ID and the pizza price. We convert it to double. Then we get the data from the local storage, and the name of the local storage item is my order. In case it is not found, create a new list, and now add this order, and now set this order to local storage. Call this method, and I'll return this successfully as order created. So this method here is going to invoke the method, and I'll broadcast it, and I'll get a count. So let's see, this invoke is over here, and we see that the invoke and count. So you can see we have count is equal to get a whole item from local storage, and I'll count it. When done, I invoke this method for a component to subscribe, and I'll get the current value as soon as this count. So we get that over here. Now that is when my order get to the database is the local storage is now. But in case data is found, then I want to check if that ID, pizza ID, already exists in the local storage of a client. Has the client selected that ID already? If yes, then we check is the price the same. If the price is not the same, then we want to remove the old one, and insert the current one. Set the local storage item, and now get count, invoke the count, and get a response here like order updated. But in case it checks data is found inside the local storage, but that specific ID of the pizza is not found, then add it, and now set the local storage. Call this method to get a current count, and now display this message. Okay, so that is all about this. In case error occurs to, then you want to say order added already. Okay, so let me just close this. The next one is invoke and count. We've done this already, so refresh. Now this refresh count here is the same as the invoke, just that here we return a count as an integer. Here we are not returning, but here we return an integer, because when you call this, you are demanding an integer as a return, so we need to return an integer. We're going to call this inside the component that we are going to be created. Okay, so the next one is get orders. So get entire orders. So what you have to do here is we create a list of my order models. Now we get a whole list from the database. That's the local storage. Now the items that we have in local storage, we are going to loop through. Once we loop through, we call a client or we call an API to check, to verify for that pizza ID, and now get us the whole data about this pizza ID. So in case it is found, then we are checking, is the price that we have the user has chosen is equal to a small price of that item, large, medium price, large, and extra large. If it's equal to any, it means now it is correct, then we want to proceed. But in case user has tempered the price, maybe it is $10 or 10 cedis, and the user went to local storage and changed to maybe 5 cedis or $5. Now when it gets there, it checks, is it equal to small price? No. Medium? No. Large? No. Extra large? No. So it means that price has been tempered. Then it's going to reject it. But in case it is not, then we're going to create a new size name. So we check, is the small price equal to the pizza price? So we check all these prices and see which one is equal to this price. So the one equal to, then we set the small size, medium, large, extra large. Okay, over here. Aside from that, you create a list of, or you create an object out of this my orders model. You populate the orders over here, and I return the orders. So when we are done, we return everything as well. But in case nothing is found, then we're going to return null, because when you check here, that is when null is found. So when my orders is not equal to null, and my orders.count is not equal to or greater than what 0, that is what we want to perform this. But in case my orders is null, then return null. So that's this method going to perform. Okay, so that is for this one. The next one that we're going to talk about, that's going to be the last one, is to delete. So delete order. We pass in the pizza ID, and now we are deleting it from the local storage. So local storage, you can see we set the ID over here. We find it from the local storage, and I remove it, and I'll set the current or list to the local storage. Display this message. That's very simple. So this method is going to handle that. Now when we are done, what we have to do here again is to call dependency injection. So dependency injection here, we call it between an interface and implementation. So let's save this, and now let's go to the Solution Explorer, and let's see projects, and that's for the client. We go to program.cs file, and now in here we are going to inject it. So builder.services.add scope. Now this add scope, we need order service. Then you have order service. Now the reason why we have these two guys here is we are creating a dependency in between them. Now this is going to rely on this. So when you create this method, this interface contains only the method names, get count, delete count, and get etc and etc. But the order service, this one, is the implementation class, which contains the definition for all the methods found within this order service. Okay, so when you create or when you call this service or this component, it has to create an instance of this component and follow it as well. So that when you call any method here, the method is going to be called here, but the definition of the method is going to be found in this. So that's what we call as dependency injection. So when you're done with this, the next thing to do here is to consume the service that you have created in a Razor component, and that's what we're going to take a look at in the next video. So guys, you've done well so far because you are with me on lesson 9. Yeah, and I think this whole series is going to end lesson 10. Okay, so don't worry, you have only one lesson left for us to complete everything, then to make it as a complete application where you can build it and do more stuff with it. So in this lesson, you're going to talk about consuming the service that we just created in the lesson 8 video. So let's see, now we have this iOrder service and this other service that we have created and injected, called a dependency injection between them. Now the next thing that we have to do here is we have to create a component to consume this service that we have created. Now let's see, let's go to the pizza list, and that's the list that we created earlier on. And remember that here we just commented or set this into a comment line. So let's uncomment this, let's activate this back. Now in activation, this add to list click. So what is this method? Add to list click. Let's search for definition here. Add to list clicked. That is what in case or I had to add to other list. That is this method. When I open the application, I click on California pizza. Now because I have this button as add to other list. So if I click on this, what should happen? That is what you want to do. Because currently we have a service to store the data into the client local storage or the client browser's memory. We have the service to do that. So we have to call that service in this button when it is clicked. So that's what we are doing now. So when you check here, you could see that we have that button displayed here, and there's a method, and it passes in what? The pizza.id. Now this pizza ID, when it comes to this side, it is a handle, that is add to list clicked. Now if you check here, you can see we still set the dialog box to be visible. We convert the string check to check if it is greater than 0. Now what is this string check? Currently it is here, that's a string check. It is the radio button which displays the size or the amount of the pizza size. So you can see we have the small, medium, large, and extra large. Okay, now all of these have been bounded to this variable. So if this is going to handle when each is what clicked. So when each is clicked, the value that has been selected is going to be handed over to the string check. By the default value for this is 0, because you know this is a string. That is why we set this 0 as string. So we have this 0 as string here. But in case of doing this, you see it's not actually a string, rather it is a money, so it is double. So we have to convert it to double, and now check, is it greater than 0? So if it is, then we create a new order. We populate the order as pizza ID to the ID that is coming in, and the price is equal to the amount the user has now selected. That's the price here. We call this service, and now we call this add order service. We pass in this order model. So let's create this service, and this service here, let's inject it on top. So we can use iOrder service. So inject iOrder service, and here it is known as order service. So let's copy this, and now control plus period, let's inject this. That is a page bay dot or pizza bay dot services. Now other services, let's go in there and replace this service with it. Okay, because it is within this interface, that's where we have this add order. So when we are done, we set the string check to what? To 0. So we initialize it again to 0. Now we check if this is equal to 0, then if we click on it again, we're going to say please select a pizza size. So this is just a validation that we want to check, because if we don't set the string check to 0, it's going to hold the previous value, and as soon as I click on add again, it's going to add the same thing as well. But you don't want that to happen. So as soon as it is done performing its task, we set the value to 0. Then it has to reset again. When starting, the value is 0. So if you decide to click on submit without checking, the condition here, it executes when it's only the number of the string check is greater than 0. Okay, else it's going to display this as a JavaScript alert. Okay, so that is all that you want to do here. So now let's save this. Let's run the application and see what we have now. So we wait while it gets run. So that is it. Let's wait for a while. Alright, so it is now reloading. So we wait for it to reload. Then we see the current one whereby we've injected the services that we've created, and now we've consumed the service as well. So as soon as we click or I click on add to list, it has to do it. Okay, and this has to store inside the client browser's memory, that's the local storage. So maybe we can now right click on this, and now let's see if you have any error in it. There's no error, it's still building. So you can just right click here, and now you can go to inspect element, or hit on the F12 button to go to developer tool. Now this F12, when it opens, we are going to navigate to an application whereby you can keep track of all local storage items that have been stored there. This is an application, so click on it, and now you can see we have my order here. So I'm going to clear this off, so we have nothing here anymore. Now when this loads, let's see what's going to happen. Now this is successfully built, and it is going to load. So let's wait, it's loading over here. Let's wait and see. So it is now ready. Now let me click on the Neapolitan pizza. Click on this. We have the pop-up here, and I'm going to choose. Now you can see none is selected. As soon as I click on add to list, it tells me please select pizza size. So I choose the small size here. Click on add to list, and I can see order created successfully, and I can see the order has now been added here. Now this has been added by using my order model. Order model contains the pizza ID and the pizza price. And because you have only 40 and the price over here. Now if I decide to, because as soon as it is done, it set it to 0. Now if I decide to click on add to list, select price again. Now if I select the same price, see what happens. So you can see order already added. But if I decide to change the price to medium, see what happens. So updated. Now check the price here. So it is now 80 now. It is 80. Small price is going to be 40, and the medium price is going to be 80. So let's add a few more. So let's add California as well. Go for medium, and I'll add this. Then I can go for the next one, Chicago. I can add a large. Then the next one, I'm going for the Detroit one, so I'm going to add the extra large. So I have four items being added to my order list. So as you can see from here, you can read all the description. That's the pizza ID and the pizza price. So if the pizza of the user temper this by changing the price of this, okay, we're going to check if the price not equal to the small price, or if it's not equal to the bigger price, or it's not equal to the medium, the larger. It means that value here has been tempered. Then we tell the user it is not what you want. So we're going to skip it, and I'll go for the next one. So but you see that after we are done with this, nothing happened. So there's no indicator, or there's no indication to tell the client the number of orders the person has now clicked or chosen. Okay, so let's see how to work on this. But before that, you have to create an app bar to display this on top here. And this app bar, you're going to use a Sync Fusion to display that. So first of all, let's see. Let's go to this, and now let's clear this first, because when we are done, you're going to add the same items here. So let's go to the application, and I'll try to click or clear this my order. Now let's close this. Let's go to our project, and now we have to create a component. Let's do that in the shared project. Right click, add, and now the component name is going to be, so let's see, we have to, not this one. So right click, and now add, then new razor component, and now this component is going to be app bar component. So let's make it as app bar component. So app bar component dot razor. Now in that, I have the code here. So we go in there, and I'll try to grab this source code. I said earlier on that this source code is going to be available at the description. So check, there's going to be a link provided. Click on the link, and you can now go to GitHub and grab the source code and implement in yours. So I'm going to paste this here because I have done this already. And you know, I am using the Sync Fusion buttons and Sync Fusion component. Okay, you can decide to change this component to any component that you want. Like I can change this to maybe a Blazor HTML, or even a Blazor input component, okay, or a Radzen component, any component at all that you can talk of. You can use the same thing. Suppose you have the concept, you can do anything with it. All right, so here ordered service, let's inject this I ordered service. So I ordered service, I order service, control period, let's inject pizzabay.services, and that is the root. So we injected that, and as you can see from here, there's an app bar, and this app bar is from the Syncfusion. There's a color, and we have a span here to display the pie chart icon symbol. Now you can see we have string O as my orders and string name as manage. You know, manage here, it is the administrative component that we have created. The route here, it is manage. So if you check the route here, it is manage on top here. Okay, so if I click on that, it's going to navigate me to that manage. Now my orders here, we haven't created that, so we're going to create that soon in the next. That's going to be the last video. Now in that, you can see we have the buttons, and this button one is order and administration. So order here, that's going to navigate to my orders, and administration going to navigate to my administration. So we check, we are calling a method here, we pass in this values here, that's a string, and now we call this navigate to method. Then navigate to method is coming in with a string URL, so we navigate to the same URL. So it means my order coming in here, we're going to navigate to my orders. The same thing applies to manager, we're going to navigate to my manager. Okay, so now we have this. What we can do here is we call a method. If we check, you see we have a button. Now there is a button, orders. Now this orders, we have a badge, and that badge holds the order.count. Okay, so order service.count. So this is going to get a current count. Now when the page loads in the Blazor server, if you want to load page, then you can use on after render async, and it's going to return a bool first render. So we check if it is first render, then I want to call this method refresh count. But when the page initializes, we want to subscribe to the broadcasted change invoke or the invoke method. So this is the way to subscribe. We are subscribing the change state has changed, so that's a plus equal to. Now as soon as we add this, it's going to refresh this component, and as soon as this component refreshes, the count service here is going to get the current count that of the component that we have called. Okay, when we are done, don't want to keep this for a long time, so we have to unsubscribe to it, and we call this iDispose method, and now we call order service.change minus equal to state has changed. So we unsubscribe, and now here we subscribe. So after process, we unsubscribe to the method or the invoke or the broadcasting options or the method. Okay, so now once you're done with this, I think you're good to go. Now let's save this, and now let's run the application and see what we can do now. So click on this, let's run and see the output. Are we going to have an icon over here, an app bar? We're going to have an auto increment or a real time button or a time indicator. As soon as I add to list, I can see it over here. Let's wait and see the outcome of it. Alright, so you can see that the application is downloaded, but we can't see anything here because we haven't called that component. So let's go to the project. We go to the main layout, and that is the shared project. And now on top here, let's add the app bar component. So app bar component, add this. Okay, now the reason why here you can see we are setting this BG as dark, we set it as container fluid as a bootstrap, and then the BG dark. Okay, let's save this again, run this application, and then let's see if today it's going to work. As I speak now, it's going to work, or there's going to be also an issue that we need to fix up. Let's wait and see while it gets refreshed. Alright, so you can see we have the app bar on top, and the current order here, it is 0 because it's going to check through the database. Sorry, that is get local storage. And do you have any name, any key known as my order? No. So then it is null. That is why on top there you could see the null here as 0. Let's try to add one more and see the outcome here. So make sure you watch here. Now I'm going to select the small size. Now click on add to list. So order created or created successfully. Now check here, it's going to be what, 1. So see, now you can see it is 1 now. Now close it. So choose the next one, medium, and it's going to be 2. So okay, it's going to be 2. And now here, if I go for large, 3. Now let's see, 4, extra large 4, Then let's add the green pizza 5. So we go for small size. And the last one, New York style, we go for medium size. So we see that we have the items added here. That is 5, right? So let's see. We have New York style that is added. And let's see New York style. This has been added already. Let's check and see. Alright, so added. Greek, small. Added. Detroit, so let's see, extra large, added. Then let's see this large, added. So this is updated. And let's see the California medium, and that is order created. Okay, so now there are 6 now. So if I click on this, it has to navigate to a page that is known as my orders, but currently we are not having that component yet. We are yet to create that in the last lesson. So in order to view this, unless you go to the local storage, okay, so this administration is going to open the manage component, and this is the manage component. So you can see the manage component with all the data that we have added. We're going to see them here. That's the manage component. Now let's see here, right click and go to inspect elements. So the sales component that we have actually added is going to be stored there in the local storage. So application, and you can see my order. You see we have them over here as 0 up to 5, making 6. So how do you display this in a page whereby a user can now see it and update it as well? So let's talk about that in the next video. That's going to be the last one, the 10th video, the 10th lesson video for this Pizza Bay project. I hope you guys are enjoying it. Let's see the last one and I'll do it. Hello friends, so welcome back. Thank you so much, and you've done well. Actually this is a 10th lesson, and this is going to be the final one as well. So well done, congratulations for being part of this lesson for almost two and a half hours. Yeah, you've done very well. You've learned something that's going to help you in your programming environment. Okay, so let's see the next one that I'm going to talk about. The last one here is if the user clicks on others. I want to display all others that the user has now selected, and to view, so the user can now manage, edit it, and also delete it as well. So let's go to projects and solution explorer. We're going to create a new component in the pages. So right click on the pages, let's add a new component, razor component, and that's going to be my orders.razor. So this is going to be my orders. So my orders.razor, and as I said earlier on, the source code will be available, so I'll make it, check the description, and I can now grab it there. So let's copy this, let's go to the page, that's my orders page. I'm going to highlight all and now paste this. Okay, so this is very simple thing that we are doing, and the route, this is the route, that's my dash orders. Now we are injecting order service, so here is going to be I order service, so I order service, so it's going to come from pizzabay.services, so .services, that is the route. Now we are injecting JS runtime, and now here we are using the same SF grid. Okay, so the same SF grid. And now here, this is a tool. You want to delete and now search. So for the client, you want the client to only delete it and search the whole thing. And now when you come to the field aggregate settings, you want to get the total number of orders that the person has made. So that's why we are counting the names. And aside from that, we want to add the total price of the items or the pizzas that have been added to the order list. So we total it over here, and this is done by using a grade aggregate column. Let's close this, let's open it again and see if you're going to have the current or the original one. So pages, my orders.razor, and now let's see if we have the original one yet. Yeah, so that is it. So as you can see from this page, we allow pagination, sorting, and this is the toolbar. Okay, so we allow deleting and confirm dialog. So show confirm dialog before you delete. Now when it comes to the next line here, you can see we have the pencil for edit, and we have this as an image. Then we have the ID, name, size, and the price. So we display the prices and the other description over here. Aside from that, if it is equal to null, that's it. So if my order list is not equal to null, then we want to display this. But if it's equal to null, then we want to display no pizza ordered and order now. We set it, or we navigate this to the index page. So we can now decide to clear this off, but it's still going to work. Okay, now when you check the edit, it is navigating to the index and then passing the ID. But when you go to the index, let's say for the index we have nothing here, we have only this. So let's change it so it can accept an ID as a parameter and to forward it into the next component. So let's copy this over here. Now let's go to the index, highlight all, and now paste this. So we could see we have the first route, that is when it is coming in for the first time, no ID selected. But here when the ID is selected, then passing this pizza list and I specify the ID. But in case it is not, then specify the pizza list here, passing this parameter to hold the ID that's going to be passed in onto the URL or the route here. Now this pizza list, when it comes to this pizza list here, we check if the ID is greater than 0, then you want to perform this method, that's a parameter change, handle pizza click ID. Then this method is handle pizza click ID. Let's see if we can have that method. So this is the method. We pass in this ID, we call the ID, or we call the pizza here to get from the controller. We pass in this ID and store the results to this pizza. This pizza here, it is a pizza model that is coming out here. That is a pizza, and this pizza, we are running it out from the dialog box here. So we see if pizza is not equal to null, then display the whole list. So this means that when we click on that, that whole list is going to pop up, and we can now go then update the pizza as we want. Okay, so let's see. Now the next thing that we'll talk about here, that's my order dot razor. After ordering this, we can also talk about when the page loads, that's the on after render async, and now we check if it's the first render, then get order data. Now what is order data? That is it. So it is getting all data from this order service. That's the get orders from it's getting this from the local storage, and now fetching the data information of that local storage data from the database. Okay, so two things, and to get us the whole data that we want. Then we can now initiate status change to get the whole application or the whole page component here refreshed. Now when action begin handler, that is what's going to perform when a delete button is clicked. Action begin handler. Now in that, this is what you want to do. We first check, is it equal to delete, the button click, is it equal to delete? If it is, then call the service delete order, and I pass in this arg.id, and also the results coming in here, invoke into the JSON and display to the message, and now get all the data. So we get all the data again because now we've deleted one, so we need to get the rest, and now refresh the data. Great. This is very simple thing. Like you see, this is very simple code that is initiating or starting this my order package or my order management component. Now once you have this, you can now successfully save the application. Now let's clean and see, let's clean the solution here first. So clean solution, let's wait for it to be clean, then we're going to build the solution again. If it builds successfully, then we run it and see if everything is working perfectly as indicated earlier on. Okay, so you've done well so much, and that is it. I think I'm going to end the video soon because this is the last one. If you like what I'm doing, give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and share, comment as well. Maybe your next project that maybe you've been thinking of, you wanted to do, you can actually put it there so we can all do it together. Okay, so you can just suggest, make suggestions too. Now once you've cleaned this, let's now build the application. So now let's build solution, and let's wait while it's being built. Let's wait. Okay, after that, then we're going to run it to see the current outcome of it. If I click on my orders, will I navigate to the page whereby I can perform all these CRUD operations in? Yes, you can do that. So let's see. So we wait for it to be built. Alright, so you can see now succeeded, that is 3 succeeded. So now let's find the application and see. So click on this, and now let's wait for application to run and see. So for now, this is what you're going to do. You can now go to inspect element. Now you see we have 6 orders made. So when you click on this orders, it's going to navigate to that order. Yeah. So let's wait and see. So it is now reloading. Now we see my order is made. Now you see as not it loads for the first time, we see no pizza ordered. So order now. Okay. Now it is now loading the data. So let's see what happens next. So let's see. So we're going to click on this home. So we have this data here. Now you click on orders, and now you see we have no pizza ordered. But as soon as it loads, you see we have this pizza ordered now. So you see we have number of ordering 6. We have this is the price 835 Ghana cedis, and that's the amount that we have. So you can see we have 3 here, and we have these 6 items. So when you go to page 2, you will see we have under 3 over there. So 2 out of 2 pages. Now these are the sizes: medium, large, and medium. So if you want to sort all, you can just sort this by medium. So medium only. And you're going to see all the medium that you have in your page. If you want to delete this, click on this and now go to delete. And now do you want to delete? Yes. So what's your order is going to be 5 now. What the order is going to be 1. Then let's see over here. So when we click on OK, now you see ordering here, the first page is going to be 1 now. Now if I go to the first page, let's see. So orders here, close this, and I can see we have 5 left. Okay, 5 left, and now it is gone. So this is the price of software has been reduced. Alright, so I believe this is a very simple thing. Now what we did or what we couldn't do here, it is a sign up, the login. Now this administration here button shouldn't supposed to pop up in the client section. And even so this is supposed to be hidden because this is for administrator. That is where you can manage the pizza data. So when you add this authentication and authorization, then user can log in, and I'll add this, and the client can log in and see the output as indicated on. So the client can see this icon and this order, that's all, but the administrator can see all of these. Okay, so when you load the page for the first time, when you load this, we're going to see, click on this, make an order, then go to my order list, and like you see, we're going to have all the lists that have been ordered over there. Then you can add a button to maybe pay online or pay when delivered or etc. You can do that, but this is just a concept that I'm giving it to you. So I think based on this, you can now build your own one which suits your interest and how you want it to be. That is it for this video. Thank you guys for watching. And have I ever mentioned my name? Yes, I am Frederick. Okay, so maybe you can call me by that. I could see from the comment section people are saying Netcode-Hub. Yeah, Netcode-Hub is a channel name, but my name is Frederick, and I am the one that we are working together to achieve the programming skills that we want. Thank you, and I'm going to catch you up in the next video.